You may think differently, but they are a top 2 team in the NFC, in a down NFC. 49er fans expect this team to at least be in that conference title game or be in a Super Bowl. So that means the quarterback got to be playing pretty well. What are your overall expectations for Brock this year? I mean, he's getting comps from callers, from players like a Willie Snead who played with a guy like Drew Brees, getting Drew Brees comps, and you compared him off air. I hope I'm not throwing you under the bus here or anything like that. You compared him to the greatest quarterback of all time, to me, Mr. Tom Brady. Can you elaborate on that, sir?
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, so first of all, I mean, Purdy's been great for a long time. I mean, go read his dossier. I mean, the guy was the Arizona Gatorade Player of the Year in high school. The guy owns like 35 different records at Iowa State. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the NFL overlooked him for a myriad of reasons, partly because he didn't fit into that box. If you're not 6'2", you're probably not going high in the draft, and he wasn't quite 6'2", so there you go. He got marked down. But yeah, I did an interview on the field at the East-West Shrine game week in 1999 with Tom Brady. And I'd never met Tom Brady before. And I said, Tom, hey, you're a Sarah guy. I'm an SI guy, WCAL. You mind doing an interview with me? He's like, oh, yeah, I listen to Cam, whatever. A different radio station. A different station. And at the time, I'm like, great. So we do this interview, and he's really, he was a nice guy. We talked about 15, 20 minutes. But he had this, exactly the way he was then is the way that he's been, that you guys have noticed for the last 20 years. Humble, polite, very, very gracious, very, just like a good kid, but also had this huge belief in himself, huge chip on his shoulder. And I did an interview last spring with Brock Purdy, and I'm sitting there in the interview, and then when the interview was done, the guy I was down there with was like, what'd you think of him? And I said, dude, he reminds me a lot of I got the deja vu off the Tom Brady from 1999. He just had a lot of the same things in that he's super respectful, nice guy, easy to talk to, very humble, but also really serious, really driven, tons of confidence, but not like in a braggadocious way. And just this chip on his shoulder, I call it boulder shoulder, where you got that perennial chip, like you got something to prove. Brady had it. This kid's got it. It's a hard thing to define, but when you see it, you recognize it. And, then you mix in what he actually does on the field. But I think he's won over his teammates. I mean, I talked to Ray McLeod last year, and he's like, man, I was kind of horsing around. I wasn't really focusing in the huddle one day, and he just jumped my S and, got in my face and said this and that. And I was like, wow, man, that's a rookie. And that kind of presence, that kind of, pocket presence, but that kind of huddle presence, I think is real. It's absolutely real. You can't be too nice. That huddle's your huddle. And you have to take command of it. It doesn't matter if it's your first game or if it's your 15th year in the league. You have to own it, and he does. So I know people are getting sick right now listening to me gush about this guy, but I really think that he's the real deal. And I'll say this. I can't remember, and I've been following football for decades, I cannot remember a quarterback in his first full year in the NFL who had the expectations that this kid has coming into this year.
It's massive.
You literally said it. They have to go to the NFC Championship game. It's not Super Bowl or bust, though some would argue, but it's NFC Championship game or bust. I mean, there will be people that will be moaning and complaining loudly if they duck out in the first round of the playoffs.
It's funny because if I think the 49ers, if I thought this team was in, like, let's say, hypothetically, they're in the AFC, right? I think you make the argument, oh, well, if they get bounced in the second round against, like a Bills or Bengals, you know what? It is what it is. They have maybe future Hall of Fame quarterbacks at Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, stuff like that. It happens. But because they are in this conference, it would be a tremendous disappointment if they did not get to at least the NFC Championship game. Just surveying everyone else around them. Like, who are the best quarterbacks in the conference? Jalen Hurts.
In the NFC?
Kirk Cousins? Like, Matt Stafford? Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
all the top quarterbers for the most part are in the AFC.
It might sound crazy, but just judging what I've seen from Brock Purdy, if he replicates what he did last year, he's automatically a top 5 quarterback in the conference. automatically. If he just does what he did last year, just going by what I see, like Derek Carr.
It's a new era. I kind of think the best quarterbacks. But
what I'm saying is all the best quarterbacks are in the AFC.
Yeah.
So like the expectations there is just, you know what? It is what it is. If you lost to the Mahomes, like no shame in that. If you lost to Josh Allen, it happens, right? Hell, Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest quarterbacks of my lifetime, is now in that conference. Like it is what it is. That's why the expectations are so damn high for Brock because of this conference. And listen to the GOAT who joined you and Allen yesterday, the greatest 49er, maybe some will argue Jerry Rice, but definitely the greatest quarterback in San Francisco 49ers history and one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, in Joe Montana, comparing himself to Brock Purdy. Take a listen.
Well, I never really try to compare, one quarterback to another because the styles are all different.
Sure.
But the one thing you can look at are the things that you said that, he processes quickly, ball comes out of his hand quickly, he makes good decisions, and he throws accurately. And you can't ask more of a quarterback. And as you can see, that system fits him and his style because he plugged in pretty quickly there. I mean, to come in from where he was and be thrown into that game, hey, my hat's off to him. I look forward to seeing him play. He's exciting, and he's got a pretty good team with him, and that always helps out a quarterback anytime when you got some weapons like they do.
One more from Montana here on how Purdy can make a jump in year 2.
I think the biggest thing is you get comfortable in a system. In that first year, you're just trying to figure out, what you just had learned in college, and now trying to make a transition into a new offense and learn it. It's a little different learning as a quarterback, all the all the things that you need to know, as opposed to somebody who comes in like a wide receiver or a running back or any other position really where you only have to worry about one thing. And the quarterback, as you know, you have to know where everybody's doing, what it's doing. You need to make changes. You need to be able to audible. And so it's a tough thing to do in the first year. And my hat was off to him for that, even because he, like I said, he plugged in pretty quick.
He did. He's a quick processor. He was quick when he jumped onto the scene real quick.